You know what time it is. It is time for your daily dose of Cyberpunk 2077 news updates. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff in this video, including the need for a roadmap. It says here we need a roadmap for full transparency, nearly 10k upvotes on this one. So a lot of you are wanting a roadmap. What's pretty cool is we have the Witcher 3 patch history and update history, which can clue us in to what we can expect from Cyberpunk 2077, because it's going about the same way. However, there's a lot more problems with Cyberpunk 2077 than there was The Witcher 3. But we're going to look at that to get an idea as well. But a lot of you guys are really loving Cyberpunk 2077 despite the issues. So let's talk about that as well. On the flip side of that, the bad reviews are coming in for the Xbox One and PS4 base versions. This is what I was talking about before the game even released. I had a feeling this was going to happen, and it has happened. So yeah, those of you that are unfortunately playing on PS4 and Xbox One, we're going to be talking about that as well. But let's dive in. Welcome back, everyone. Upworld Games here. Hope you're doing good. Leave your comments below, because I will be featuring top comments in every video. So let's begin. So we're going to take a look at this right here, the need for a roadmap for full transparency. Let me know if you agree with this assessment or not. This goes on to say this: a roadmap needs to be given to the public, not talking about another 3 release dates or whatever. I want to know what CD Projekt RED priorities are for the future of this game. Which patches are coming first? What content is getting revamped? AI, multitude of other unpolished game features. What bugs are getting addressed? And we will be paying for this in the next DLC, because if we want to go with what they have been doing recently, I'm expecting most of the cut content to be addressed in the next DLC with a juicy price tag next to it. Edit: for those lads who keep saying no more deadlines, this is what ruined the game in the first place, etc. I've explicitly said I don't want deadlines, I just want to see what the priority order is and what is on that list. I would hate to put devs back into crunch. That's not the goal. Well, in my opinion, whether you like it or not, these devs are probably working even harder than, before the game released, because they gotta fix some of the major glaring issues with the game. So it's so unfortunate to see that happening with this game, unless they're getting another team on the game, of course. But yeah, it would be cool to see a roadmap. Fallout 76, it had a fiasco launch, and they produced a very detailed roadmap and tried to stick to it. I recall there were some delays in there, but I do feel like that did help the community and their anxieties. They even had roadmaps for things like fixes as well. So that would be a very good idea, in my opinion, from CD Projekt RED. Should it have release dates on it or not? At this point, considering, how upset, fans are about the state of the game, I think in some terms that they would have to produce some sort of release dates, loose estimates perhaps, for content drops, especially when it comes to fixing the game and updating the game, of course. But this is a pretty interesting one right here. Check it out. It says, using Witcher 3 patch history as a clue to what we can expect from upcoming Cyberpunk patches. And it's kind of the same story as to what's going on here, except, of course, Cyberpunk has had more problems. But it says this: you can see the Witcher 3 released with that day 1 patch. There were a bunch of performance bug patches days after, of course, and then a month later, we got more performance bug issues as well, and gameplay balance tweaks. I expect a lot of these exploits to be removed as time goes on as well. Now, we saw the largest patch for Witcher 3 months later, like 5 months after release, and that was performance bug, rebalances content, adds fully voiced conversation segments for multiple quests and things like that. So they're kind of, it looks to me, they're doing similar things with Cyberpunk 2077. Now, we saw the first paid expansion about 6 months after release for Witcher 3. We'll see what happens with Cyberpunk 2077, as they have again stated that they're only willing to talk about the future of Cyberpunk 2077 in early, 2021. And that, DLC right now and multiplayer is up in the air, as they said it. And they're solely focused on fixing this game for sure. Now, they said this throughout. I should note, are AI tweaks and fixes that change gameplay to an extent, but nothing on the scope of building new faction system from the ground up like we want from games and police, implementing an entirely new subsystem. except of course as part of the paid expansion, such as the rune crafting system they introduced in Hearts of Stone. I forgot what it was called. And then Blood and Wine had a home you can upgrade and live in with the herb garden and other stuff. Both expansions obviously had new map areas, one being a whole new region with tons of content and new characters and quests. So there has been leaks of that mansion. I expect that to be like part of the DLC, to be honest with you. That, you know, V's mansion would drop in one of these DLCs. Because, again, it's kind of the same formula here that we're seeing from The Witcher 3. Oh, my God, we rolled the card. Dear God. Anyway, it says this. So, overall, I think we can expect all the bugs and performance issues to be fixed with Cyberpunk 2077. And I think we can expect quests to change with new voice dialogue options, quest branching changes, fixes. I killed a main NPC twice. Stuff like that getting fixed. Expansions are likely to add lots of new content. I agree. So yeah, you know, I think it's going to improve the game down the road. Unfortunately, we're going to have to be patient. But again, you know, I've been really enjoying the game so far, despite the issues. But yeah, again, those bad reviews are rolling in for out of 10 right here for, I think it is the console versions of the game. Oh yeah, they're actually merging together the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 review with one flat rating here from IGN. They say bad. Please don't play Cyberpunk 2077 on a base Xbox One or PS4. It's a shockingly bad way to experience what is a fantastic RPG on better hardware. That just tells me that this game was meant for next gen. I don't know why they even considered releasing it on PS4 and Xbox One. It's not going to really help their sales all too much. I don't think it's probably going to actually hurt their reputation more than it's going to help their sales at this point. So yeah, that's a bummer. In fact, let's talk about that. It says here, Cyberpunk 2077 debacle costs founders $1 billion of wealth. Ouch. And their sales are going to be, at least they're estimating 14% down from what they thought. And that's early projections right now for Cyberpunk 2077. It goes on to say this: the technical glitches plaguing CD Projekt RED's Cyberpunk 2077 game have cut more than $1 billion off the wealth of the company's founders. Perhaps more seriously, the quality first image of the studio has been shaken and may not be easy to win back. CD Projekt shares plunged by a third over the past 6 days as the number of bugs plaguing the highly anticipated futuristic game prompted an apology from the firm and an offer for refunds of the game on previous generation consoles. Short sellers have also started targeting the stock, with short interest up from less than 1% free float. That's stock terminology right there for you. This is such a bummer to hear. It says the three executives, Marcin Nowinski, Adam Kaczynski, and Piotr Nowabuisk, I don't know how to say these names, says along with the fourth major owner, Michael Kowinski, have joined the ranks of the wealthiest pools thanks to stellar rally in CD Projekt shares. However, they now face a fight to salvage the studio's reputation and prove that Cyberpunk will also be playable for owners of older generation consoles, which are much more common than just the new released ones. And that is extremely true right there. I know that a lot of you are also playing this on PC. I feel like this is right now a next-gen and PC game first and foremost, and it's going to turn more into a PC game as time goes on, in my opinion, because of the mods. So the mods are already rolling in, and there's some really cool stuff being made, and I expect them to get absolutely crazy with the mods in the future. So yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. This is a good one right here. It says, I love how the bar just keeps getting pushed lower and lower for what we should have expected. A lot of you agreed. 3,400 upvotes. It says, I'm not seeing arguments that the game was never meant to have a functioning police system, was never meant to have great AI, never meant to have great combat mechanics, never meant to have mini games and activities, never meant to be free roam after you finish missions, never meant to be anything more than The Witcher in a different setting. I just find it funny how the bar keeps getting lower and lower for what the game was even meant to have in it. There was a lot of like alluding to, despite CD Projekt RED, you know, not like completely clarifying certain features, they alluded to a lot of features that weren't in the game, of course, when the game released. Now let's talk about this one. It just seems like a lot of you guys are really enjoying the game. Nearly 6,000 upvotes on this, so almost double than what we just saw previously. It says, I'm going to say I love this game and will continue to play it whether they improve it or not. They go on to say, first of all, I get it. This game isn't what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the greatest game of all time, and it didn't live up to those impossible expectations, because when you hype something up for 7 years, you're going to be disappointed no matter what. I'm aware of everything bad that's being said about the game, and I agree. I just don't care. For me, the good outweighs the bad by far. I compare it to The Outer Worlds because I feel like that's the closest related game I've played. It's like Outer Worlds, but with way better combat, story, map, everything. The missions are so well thought out, even the small ones, that I find myself wanting to 100% the game, which I usually never do. The combat with guns is okay, but the sword combat is the best I've ever played. Guys, I'm just going to interject here. I love the katana in this game. It is my obsession, so I totally agree with that one. Now, they go on to say this: I couldn't care less about the driving because I either run or fast travel anyway. It's not a racing game or GTA. It's an RPG in a packed city. I don't think it's right for them to have ignored older consoles, and I'm not going to defend that. But with a new game like this, of course, you're going to need better equipment to have a smoother experience. I've been using a Series S, and it crashed only twice on me in the 40 hours I've played so far, and no glitches were bad enough to disrupt my game. I just felt like I needed to put some positivity on this subreddit, as people seem to be so caught up on it not being impossibly perfect and are ignoring how great of a game it is because it didn't meet impossible expectations. I'm going to leave this subreddit and play this game for a couple hundred hours and enjoy every second. I hope when I check back someday, people will have calmed down and enjoy the game for what it is. How do you feel about that post right there? You know, I feel like the driving is hit or miss. It's so strange with the drive mechanics in the game. But yeah, I feel like with an open world game where there's cars to collect, the driving has to be good. So that's something I can't agree with on that one. It has to be good. And so far it's hit or miss for me personally. I think that they need to go in and fine tune that. Again, there's actual mods that are improving the vehicle controls, so PC is experiencing that benefit of the mods right now. That was true about Fallout and things like that. But yeah, hopefully CD Projekt RED takes a look at what the modders are doing and are like, you know what, we might need to actually imitate what is happening here and do this on consoles, you know, for a lot of these features. So yeah, that would be a good idea. But overall, again, I'm really having a blast with the game. It has problems, but I'm still having a ton of fun. All right, you know what time it is. It's time for top comments. Let's do this. Comment number 1. What is it? Jacob says, good to see CD Projekt RED execs know street cred is more valuable than Eddie's. This is a response to CD Projekt RED's, you know, saying in their conference call to investors that they are wholeheartedly focused on fixing the game. They don't care about the cost. They just want their reputation back. So that was good to hear. You know, a lot of you guys pointed out that EA would never say something like that. They would never issue an apology or try to do refunds. So at least there's that. Now, of course, there's legal reasons why they're doing all of this, mind you. So keep that in mind. All right, Tyler says this: I wish everyone was enjoying the game like I was. A few visual bugs, sure, but no crashes at all. And I'm loving everything about it. Hopefully it improves massively. I think it will improve. Just give it 6 months to a year. It's going to take time. Robert says, my experience hasn't been too bad yet. About 40 hours in on Xbox One. It looks good, and I've only had minimal bugs. Again, that next-gen hardware helping out. Rashawn says, I think this has been an overreaction to the bugs. I still fully support CD Projekt RED. So a lot of love and support for CD Projekt RED. I hope they get it together. It's a shame that they didn't consider delaying. In my opinion, they probably should delay that PS4 and Xbox One version of the game and just release the next-gen version. It's that simple for me. I think that they should have done that, and maybe even by 6 months, whatever they needed to do to keep their rep alive, their reputation going, do it, you know. Reputation in the gaming industry, in any industry really, is so important. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk 2077 news updates and open world gaming news. I will be starting up other open world gaming news as well on top of Cyberpunk 2077. Let me know what you guys would like to see. Sound off in the comments. All right, take it easy, everyone, and see you next time.